ngongole imene kutengayi ana tasiya pati amayi tasiya pati achinyamata tasiya pati chifukwa ndi magulu amene amakhudzika kwambiri ajati manena kuti ma vulnerable populations. So it's really important kuti today now achinyamata they should have their say. Kuti yes, we appreciate that you are taking this for development, but these are the things that we want you to prioritize. Yes.
Kenson dzulo tinakambira nako nkhani yokhudzana kuti timapanga clarify kuti nkhani ya ngongole imene tabwerera kuno ku Crossroads Hotel mtsiku la lero ndiyo khudza ngongole zimene boma limatenga. Tikulandiranso mauthenga ena ochuluka apa kuti akuti kodi zimakhala motani kuti upeze mwayo ngongole ndiye mwina nkutheka kuti tili ndi anthu ena amene angotijoyina kumene kudzera pa tsamba la Tranchezo enanso pa Timveni radio mwina pa TV pamene tangopereka mwina kungopanga clarify kunena kuti amvetsetse motani pa ngongole zimene tikukambirana mtsiku la lero ndi ngongole zimene boma limapereka kwa achinyamata.
Alright, ngongole zimene zokambidwa pano mwina ndizosiyana ndi ngongole zimene takhale tikuzidziwa kwambiri ngati achinyamata. Tikudziwa kuti mwina mbuyo kwambiri timamva za ngongole za nifu komanso mabanki ena kupereka ngongole kwa achinyamata. Ngongole zimene tikukambirana kuno ndi ngongole zimene dziko limabwereka pamene likufuna kuti lithandizire magawo ena achitukuko. So timanena kuti ngati dziko likapanga ndondomeko ya zachuma pamakhala njira zosiyanasiyana zimene apezere ndalama zoti zithandizire chitukuko chija, ndi pamapezeka kuti pa ndondomeko ija pa ndalama zonse zimene akupeza ngati dziko sizofikirabe pa mlingo umene anakonza kuti akwanitse mfundo zonse za chitukuko. Ndi ndalama zotsalazo amakabwereka ku mabanki a mdziko muno, amakabwereka ku mabanki akunja, komanso akhoza kupitanso ku maiko ena amene ali olemera kwambiri, maiko ngati mwina china China, kuti tili ndi maproject awa timafuna mutithandizire kapena tili ndi zikonzerezi zimene tikufuna kupanga ngati dziko timafuna mutibwerekeko ndalama. Ndi ngati maiko amagwirizana kuti okay tikubwerekani ndalama imene mukufunayo let's say 100 billion kwacha tikupatsani komano mudzabweza pa zaka zochuluka chonchi. Pa chaka china chilichonse mudzipereka ndalama ngati chikole timati interest rate yambiri chonchi. Komanso ndikuti ngongole yanuyi ndi ya dzaka mochuluka chonchi, and ma percentage yake kawiri mwina makamaka akakhala ngati maiko komanso mwina achina World Bank IMF amakhala kumveterekako. So ngongole zimene tikukamba pano ndi zimenezo. Seza ngongole yokuti ine ndikufuna kuyamba business kenaka ndipite ku bank ndikatenge loan, ngongole zake sitikukambirana zimenezo.
Ndikukhulupirira kuti kumbali ina kufotokozakonso nkhani khudzona kuti imene anafunsa Yobu Moyenda amene akuti boma likakongola ngongoleyo amagwiritsa ntchito yanji ndikufuna kudziwa. Iwo anda Yobu Moyenda kumeneko ndi kunchero ndi ndikhulupirira zonena kuti funsoli unalikhudza kale koma mwina amongonjezera pa nkhani imene nakamba kunena kuti boma limatonenga ngongole kumaiko ena ngakhalenso mdziko muno. Tinaona dzulo mmene apanga presentation kunena kuti anafotokozapo kuchokera ku Ministry of Finance amenewa nda Chief Secretary Chief Economist kunena kuti pakadali panopa as it stands pofika pa December 2025 ngongole za dziko linoli zili pa 24 trillion kwacha. Ndi anazigawa kunoti pali zina za domestic za mkati muno mwa dziko muno zimene boma limathoka tenga ku mabanki komanso mabungwe ena akuti zimene zili pa 16 trillion kwacha, komanso zimene amatenga kunja zili pa 8 trillion kwacha. Kungophera mang'ombe pa nkhani imene unakambapo koma mwina nkutheka kuti mwina ukhoza kutsindika pa nkhani ya zina mwa ntchito zimene boma limagwiritsa ntchito ngongole zimenezi likatenga.
Yes, pali zinthu zambiri zimene boma limapangira. Tikakamba za nkhani ngati misewu yambiri ndiyo kuti ngati boma silimanga lokha. Tikudziwa kuti pakati pa mangidwa misewu ingapo imene mwina inali chithandizo cha maiko ena. Komano pali misewu ina imene tikumangabe ngati dziko imene sichithandizonso tikumangira ndalama zathu. Ndi chifukwa choti ndalama zathu zonse zokwanira takongolabe ndithu ku anthu ena ku mabanki ndi maiko ena kuti tithandizire ntchito zimene zija. Komanso ngati dziko pali ma building ena amene tikumanga ma infrastructures ena. Ndingopeka chitsanzo ngati Bingu National Stadium imene chasena mangendi ndalama yathu ndi ngongole imene ndithu tinalenga ku boma la China imene tikhaiti kupereka kwa zaka. Pali zinthu ngati achina BICC Bingo International Convention Center zimene zijasina ndalama za mtumba mwathu kuti MRA yasonkhanitsa ndalama zonse kenakata kamanga chimene chija chifukwa yani tikanatha kupangira komano kuti titenge mlingo wa ndalama zathu zimene mapeza ngati dziko zikanatitengera zaka zambiri kuti tikwanitse kumanga zinthu ngati ziya zija the parliament building so zinthu zonsezo zimafunikabe kuti ena ake alowererepo ndikuloya kwake ndi umeneko kuti amatibwereka ndalama kuti tipange mina nonkhani ino imangokhala kuti kodi zinthu zimene mukumatengera ngongolezo ndi zinthu zofunikira there were always questions about mina mwamanga Bingo Nation Stadium should that be a priority as a country? Those are the questions that as a country should be asking. Komano kutsindika kuti kodi mapanga chani tikangamba nkhani za maskulu panopo chiwerengero chana amene akufuna kupita ku skulu ndi chochuluka ngati boma singakwanitse kupeza ndalama zoti mange maskulu zonsezo payokha ndi amapita abendito koma development partners ena amatipatsa ma grants koma ambiribe amatikuongoza so zinaso zimapita kumeneko tikangamba nkhani za mwina za chitukuko tikamba kuti agriculture commercialization imene singachitike popanda kuti ifeyo ngati dziko tikhale kuti takongola ndalama zina zothandizira chitukuko chimene chicha chaka ndi chaka timakhaso mwina tikupereka achina subsidy kwa anthu ndamanga zimene zija zina mwa izonso zimachokeranso kuti mwina takakongola pena pake kuti zithandizire nkhani ntchito ngati zimenezo zitukuko za madera zambirimbiri tokamba kuti pakanali pano constituency iliyonse yufunika around 5 billion when you calculate the amount of money ndi mwina ndalama zimene kupanga generate ngati dziko onabe kuti siyonse imene ikhoza kuchokera kuti revenue ya MRA so zitukuko zonsezo ndi zimene zimagwiritsidwa ntchito so kukayankha ndithu amenewa twayankha kuti pali zitukuko zambiri zimene mmadzonazi gawo lina la chitukukocho kuti chitheke timakhala kuti takakongola pena pake
Kenen mangufuna mwina kuti tapatse chithunzithunzi amene akutimvera komanso amene akutionera kunena kuti engagement ndi yayikulu simuno mokha chifukwa ngakhalenso apa mothenga kufika ochuluka achinyamata ali ndi chidwi chofuna kudziwa nkhani zokhudza ngongole za boma zikuoneka ngati kunena kuti achinyamata akudzuka tsopano akubweramo kupanga realize ino tsopano
yes ndizofunikira kuti ngati achinyamata adzuke pozindikira kuti takamba kale mobweza kuti zimene zikuchitikazi amene amakhodzekaso kambiri ndi achinyamata chifukwa tukamba kuti achinyamata ifika chani achinyamata tunena kuti ndi 51 around 51% ya population yonse chitu tikakamba 100% ya population yonse percentage yaikulu ya population ndi achinyamata ndi zinthu zonse zimene zikuchitika ngati ndi ngongole zija zopangitsa kuti tidzepera kupanga zitukuko zina zikhudza achinyamata panopo tukamba kuti ngati dziko tulephera kupanga zitukuko zambiri chifukwa chokuti pamene ngongole yafika maiko ena sali comfortable kuti bwereka ndalama zonjezera chifukwa kumati akaona kuti ndi mmene ngongole yanu ilili mwina mudzakanika kubweza ngongole yathu iyi chifukwa ngongole ineyo yonse imakhala ndi maturity yake kuti mwina patenga zaka zingapo zaka soso kuti mubwereze ndikuti no panopo mwina ngongole zambiri zikupita kumapeto ndi sitinabweze ngati dziko sakumaunikirabe so magawo ngati amenewo kuti kodi kabwezedwe kake kakhala kotani zimene zonse zimene zimachititsa kuti no ngati dziko tizikanika kukongola mlingo wa ngongole zimene tikanafuna zizikachitika moterono boma limakhala pansi ndikuti chimene tingapange prioritize pano ndi chani chaka ndi chaka munthu unene samafunika kuti adye titenge ndalama zina zipite kuchakudya chaka ndi chaka timafuna kutumizana ku skulu titenge ndalama zina zipite kumeneko komano chimenecho zimene zonantoza ndizakuti ndalama zambiri zikapita kumeneko boma sekhandi ndalama zina zoti zikhoza kulembera anthu ntchito chifukwa nawo ndalama zonse zapita ku zinthu ngati zimenezo chakudya mwina za umoyo anthu apite ku chipatala chifukwa mmene zilili pakanali pano munthu kapita ku chipatala sulipira ndalama ineyi yonse koma tikunena kuti ndalama zimene zija boma limakhala kuti likuyipira mankhwala akwacha ndeti kapanga prioritize zinthu ngati zimenezo zimapezeka kuti tasiyano mwina production ya zinthu zofunikira zina zimene zikhoza kuthandizira chitukuko cha dziko kuti chuma chanu chipite patsogolo ndi zimene zimapangitsa kuti anthu they should be frustrated because mwamaliza skulu akane kukulembani boma likuwuzani kuti silingatenga anthu ambiri chifukwa ndi kuti wage bill yathonso ikweranso kwambiri ende kuti so ndalama za pension zichaso zikweraso kwambiri chifukwa mukaona budget chakwambiri ndalama zimapita ku masalary ndi ma pension so zinthu zimenezo zoboma bekuyeneka kupanga contain koma mwina ngati boma pali ndondomeko zina zimene lakhale kukhazikitsa kuti mwina ngongole isapitire kukwera mmene ilili taonapo ndithu akupanga cut ma spendings tinaona kuti mwina maulendo nduna anazichepetsa kuti zisamakhale kuyendayenda zimene zija zimangothandizira kuti asamapange spend ndalama zambiri chifukwa olonso mukamakabwereka komanso anthu mwina anthu ena mukamakabwereka komanso zinthu zine amang'aniranso zinthu ngati zimene kuti kodi ndalama zanu zomadzukitsa ntchito zanji ngati nduna zopezeka pansi tsiku nalilonse ndoti mupanga spend ndalama zambirimbiri so amafunsa muone kuti mulibe ndalama koma the money you are spending on my trips my allowances ndizicha zimapezeka kuti panopo akupanga advise kuti even ma meeting ambiri adzikhala visual cholinga chake ndichoti aseve ndalama chifukwa mukapanga meeting ya visual simukufunika kupanga spend allowance pa wina aliyese so zinthu ngati zimene zimathandizira kuti mwinabe musamakhale kuti mukupanga waste ndalama zambiri ngati dziko
palinso mwina funso lina tisanapereke kwa amene akhala akuyendetsa mwambo amenewo zikuoneka ndithu nakuti muno chilichonse chili mchimake achinyamata ochuluka ndithu afika pompano tikhuzonena kuti mukhale mukudzaza muno komano pali funso linanso limene tofuna tayankha Osman Mphote tisanawapatsire kwa amene akuyendetsawa kuti iwo amafuna atadziwa za ngongole kuti boma limabwenza bwanji ngongole zimenezi Osman Mphote amenewa kuchokera ku area 38
budget ikatuluka ukadzayitsata bwinobwino pamakhala percentage ya ndalama zina zimene zimapita kubweza ngongole ndi amanena kuti ngati chaka chino 2 trillion tikufuna tibwezere ngongole zimene tili nazo ndamanenanso kuti pa ndalama iyi ina tibweza ngongole zimene tili nazo ngati mdziko muno zina zitikhati kubweza ku maiko akunja amene tinabwerekaso so mmene timabwezera ndi mmene mumu ndithu pa ndalama zonse zimene tapanga pa chaka zija timatengapo zina ndikubwezera ngongole zimene tinazo kunjaku so zimachokera kwa ifeyo ndithu ngati Malawi timakhala kubwezera chifukwa amanena kuti obweza ngongole ndi ifeyo yes ngati sitikubweza ndi ife ndi mibado imene ikubwerayo ndi imene idzabweza yes
mmenemo ndi mmene ndikuchezera ndi zanga Kenson MacLeod kulutsa mawu athu kuchokera kuno Crossroads Hotel nkuteka kuti mwangotipeza kumene iyi ndi Timveni Radio tili mkatikati mwa program imeneyi tili kuno kumwambo wa National Youth Symposium lero ndi tsiku lachiwiri limenenso lili lomaliza limene achinyamata kuchokera m'madera osiyanasiyana akupitira okambirana ndeti mafotokoza kuti lero it's a stakeholder day limene achinyamata amenewo akhala akupanga engage ndi akuluakulu aboma kukhala ma panel discussions amene akhale akuperekedwa munomu ndeno zambiri ndithu zilipo chimene tingopempheni inu chonena kuti musatalikani radio yanu komanso mwina mungathe kuiphonya pa radio tili live pa tsamba lathu la mchezo go and search on Facebook our page Timveni online pameneponso mukhuzotitsatira tikupempheni kunena kuti kalikonse kamene mwina simukamvetsa ndithu bwinobwino during this presentation kuti mwina pali china chilichonse chimene afotokoza choti it needs more clarification kuti tifotokozerepo ndithu bwinobwino mukhoza kutumiza uthenga wanu kapena ndemanga yanu kumene ku 0910 12345 0910 12345 pamenepo tikhale tikuwerenga ndeno mauthenga apa akufika ochuluka ndithu pamene ndisanakuperekeni kwa amene akuyendetsa mambo koma tikhozotsimikiza ndithu na kuti leronso ndi tsiku loti achinyamata abwera ndithu mukuoneka ndi room yoti yokongola achinyamata achena
yes ukaona ambiri avala ma t-shirt amene wa National Youth Symposium on public dates ndithu mukuwala ukaona kumbuyo kwaeneko ambiri ndithu achena ma t-shirt amene walo kutsogolo kwaeneko ambiri ndithu zuchita kupepa titsindikiso pano kuti anyamata amene akupezeka kuno ndi restricted by invitation. So mwina ena tikhoza kukhala kuti tikuonera pa masamba athu tikumvera zalipatsa chidwi kinakati yamboganiza kuti kumene kuti singangopezekako imene tingotsindika kuti kunoko ndi restricted by invitation ndoti mwabwera kunakufunsani kuti kodi munalembetsa kale. So amene mwina tili ndi chidwi kwambiri titsatire pa masamba athu anchezo pa radio pa TV koma tisangopanga chiganizo chochoka ukati kuti tikapezeke kumeneko. Tinene kale kuti mwine nali ndi mafunso koma tili kwathu tikhoza kufunsa mafunso amene aja kudzera pa namba yathu imene wakhala kupereka ya 0910 12345 komanso tu enanso tikhoza ndithu kugwiritsa ntchito Facebook page yathu kufunsa mafunso amenewa akhale akuwerengedwa wakhala ukuwerenga ndithu mafunso ambiri
ochuluka
ndi tisade nkhawayi kuti kodi ineyo ngati ndi funso mwina funso imene lingopita anthu osalidziwayi komanso umakhalanso upeka mafunso amenewa kwa akuluakulu. So akhale ndi chitsimikizo kuti funso inayo seminari nalo ndimanga inayo seminari nayo ifeyo tikhale ndithu tikuyiwerenga mamauno komanso kufikira mpaka na madzulo pamene titsake mwambosa.
Timafunanso kuti titsindike ponena kuti kuno ndikonena kuti uchite kuyitanidwa kuti ufike koma sizikutanthauza kunena kuti achinyamata ena amene ali muno ndewo ngosankhidwa ochabe ena usizikuakhudza. Timakamba kuti nkhani yangongole imakhudza wina aliyense moti ena mwa achinyamata amene ali muno ndi atsogoleri ammadera mosiyanasiyana ndi cholinga cha mkumano nchoti nawonso akaphunzitsena koma ife ngati Timveni tionetsetsa kunena kuti tikupitirabe kuyamba nkhani ngati zimenezi tikupitirabe kuonetsetsa kunena kuti tikubweretsa mwambo umenewu chifupi ndiyeno tipitirebe kuwerenga mauthenga apa Shoman kumeneko ndikudedza nawonso akunena kuti tili modzi ndithu awa akuti iwo dzina lawo ndi Tamandani Cheleni kuchokera kudowa akuti kwachakha mmodzi mwana kutepa iwo akuti ndi wachinyamata ndipo amadabwa akati boma layika ndalama zokuti atikongoze ife ngati achinyamata koma ndi madabwa kuti amatenga ndalama ija sakhala achinyamata ayi koma boma likakongola ndalama ngongoleyo imakhala ya dziko kuphatikiza pa achinyamata afe koma kwambiri zimakhala za achinyamata afe ndatero ine Tamandani. I think iyi ndi concern imene iwo akuti ngati achinyamata ali nayo akuti amadabwa zonoti boma likeka ndalama kunena kuti liyafikira achinyamata ndalama zija sizimafikira amene amenera kupindula aja koma likatenga ngongole ya dziko ndi atonse tingathandize bwa
pamakhala ndithu kamvetsetsedwe ka zinthu mosiyanasiyana pamakhala makonsensi sikuti makonsensiwo are not valid pali makonsensi ena amene ndithu amakhala valid. I think nkhani za ngongole zakhala nkhani zovuta kwambiri kwa zakazaka makamaka ngongole imene yanif pamakhala always ma-consented ukuthi ena amona ngati kuti it's always politicized as a funding eni ndizoona kuti mwina ngongole mbali ina ya ngongole imene timatenga ngati dziko imathandiziraso mafunding ngati amene aja amene ameneka kupindulira wina aliyense. Ma-conversation oti ngati dziko takhala tikukhala nawo nthawi yayitali komano kwambiri kumene imafunika ndichongodziwa kuti ngatiso achinyamata tikutsatira ndondomeko zonse zimene anazikhazikitsa zokuti amenewa anifi adzigwiritsa munthu akafuna kupeza ngongole umatani and ngati akuona kuti pena pake sipakuyenda bwino pamakhalanso njira zokuti ukhoza kupangira express your concern ukhoza kupita ndithu ngati ukuona kuti pali zachinyengo zina zilizonse ndichifukwa chake tili mabunge ngati aya SCP mabunge amene aja ntchito yake ndiofufuza zinthu ngati zimenezo ngati ukuona kuti pali kachinyengo kena kake kamene kakumachitika pakabwera nkhani za ngongole zija pitani ku nthambi ngati manager imathandizira komanso si nkhani yanifi yomweyo ngakhalenso mwina anthu amene tikukhudzidwa ndi mwina ngongole zimene timatenga ngati dziko zino komano tikuona kuti zambiri mwa izo zikutayika mukatangale. Panali project yanseyo komano mene ayendera project iyo simunasangalatsidwe simunakhutitsidwe mukuona kuti pena pake panayenda chinyengo mapita ku SCP kucha mapanga ndithu inkayi kuti mupite mupereke konseni yanu kuti ife tiona ngati pena pakisimira naindi kumakhala ma whistleblowers kumene kuja ukanenaso kuti aine ndangopereka sunofuna kuti ndikaoneke kukhoti chani zonsezo ndithu amakuteteza ngati witness osamaopa ngati anyamata tikuona kuti pena pake zinthu sizikuyenda bwino mwina pachitika chinyengo SCP makomo awo amakhala otsekula and inayikhazikitsa nthambi imene cholinga chake ndichothana ndikatangala amene amapangitsa kuti chitukuko mdziko chisamapite patsogolo.
Amwina ake tisanapeze mmodzi mwa achinyamata amene abwera kumalo kuno kuti ticheze nawo ndimangofunanso kuti tiunikire kumbali ina yokhudzana kuti lero imene tafotokozera muja kuti ndi stakeholder engagement day imene akuluakulu abwerepo oyera taonapo kunoti pa program ikuli Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Youth, Reserve Bank, Bankers Association of Malawi kubwera poyera kwa akuluakulu amenewa tinene kuti tsopano ma stakeholders akuchiona kuti nkofunika kunena kuti azibwera pa mbalambanda ndi kufotokoza tsatanetsatane okhudza nkhani za chuma kwa achinyamata.
Chifukwa mwina kwa nthawi yatali chimene chakhala chikudandaulira ukaona mutu wa tionera kuti transparency ndi accountability. Transparency ndi kuti zinthuzo zizikhala poyera muchita zinthu poyera mwina yese akuona ndithu kuti ngati chaka chinocho takongola ndalama mwa mtundu wotere ndaona dzulo mmene amapereka mafigures kuti tikuzani ngongole imene inali pofika December chaka chatha anthu anadzuma kuti ndikuti itu mwina simuti serious toyereka kudziwa kuti pakana pano kuchoka January kufika August mwalenga ndama yochuluka motani koma ndanena kuti mwina akudikira kuti apange kaye authorize yeti aipange clear kuti mukhozonera kuti ndalama ija timanena kuti yachoka pa 24 trillion koma pakana pano taonjezereka mwina tili pa ndalama mwakuti yeti sifuna kuchafika ifika yosuzori pakana pano ili mwachipisha so transparency mapithandiza so kuti anthu asamaone ngati kuti panjirika zinthu mwachinyengo komanso mukakhala kuti mukumasoka kunena kuti ngongoleyi tikumayigwiritsa ntchito motere manong'onong'o amene amakhapo anja kuti ndalama zambiri zimangothera kudya mwina zimalowa matumba mwa anthu andale ndi zina amachepa chifukwa anthu amamvetsetsa kuti okay tinatenga 5 trillion kwaja tinagwiritsa ntchito chitukuko ichi zimene zija zithandizira kuti anthu asakhale ndi zoganiza zambiri komano mukangokhala kuti chifukwa apatu chimene chikupangitsa mantha kwambiri olo chimene anthu akuyankhula kwambiri ndicho kuti zaka zonsezi mwina anthu samadziwa kuti tikutenga ndalama mwa mtundu wanji kenaka angodzidzimuka akuwuzidwa kuti inutu muli ndi 24 trillion kwaja yoti mubweze ngati dziko wina aliyense panali ngongole yokuti akuyenera kubweza ngati dziko zimenezozo zimene zikadabwitsa anthu chifukwa kumadzifunsa kuti nde ife yono tinachoki ndalama imeneyi yachokera pati inagwira ntchito yanji mafunso amene akubwera chifukwa choti panalibe mwina transparency imene timatengera ndalama komanso mwina panalibenso accountability in terms of mmene timayigwiritsira ntchito ndalama ija nde kwambiri no izi zithandiza kuti pakhale kumvetsetsana kuti tikatenga ndalama umu ndimene timagwiritsira ntchito komanso umu ndimene tibwezere komanso ngati pene mafunso ena aliwonse mukhoza kugwiritsa ntchito njira yotere kuti mudziwe kuti ndalama yanu ikuyenda bwanji zimenezo ndizofunikira chifukwa ndalamazo akutenga malo mwa Malawi ndipo zikuyeneranso kupindulira Amalawi chifukwa ndalama ija siyopita kuboma kuti akagwiritse ntchito ina iliyonse kupatula kuti ipindulire Amalawi.
Chabwino pamenepo ndimene tikupangira kuti nkutheka kuti mangotipeza kumene komano tipeze wachinyamata kuti ticheze naye.
Yes,
kuti tapatse chithunzithunzi
kufunika kuti mumve kwa nyambata awiri atatu kuti no ambiri mwa iwo analipo kuno dzulo chembekezo chawo lero ndi chotani ndi tachezani ndi anthu enawa timvenso kuti maganizo awo ndotani.
Chabwino hapo sachidapa tikhale tikubweretserani achinyamata osiyanasiyana amene ali kuno Crossroads Hotel nawonso amene akufuna kunena kuti adzamve ambiri wamwayo anabwera kale ndithu dzulo kudzakhala nawo mambo amenewo ndeno timve zonena kuti owa konzekera motani komanso chiyembekezo nchotani koma mauthenga akufika ochuluka apa nambala yake ndiyo mwaija timafotokoza 0910 12345 0910 12345 ndi nambala imene mukhoza kutumiza uthenga mafunso chilichonse chimene simukuchimvetsetsa awanda Chifundo Max from Palombe kwa Kario akuti kodi pano tili pa ngongole yochuluka bwanji ndi maiko akunja ndeno mene nafotokozera moja kuti mwina nkutheka mangotipeza umene, koma ngongole pakadali pano za dziko lino malinga ndi ma presentation amene achitika dzulo afotokozapo kunena kuti tili pa 24 trillion kwacha, zimene zina mangongolezi 16 trillion ndi za mdziko momuno zimene boma limakongola ku mabungwe ena mabankiso a mdziko momuno, pamene 8 trillion kwacha ndi ndalama zimene boma limakongola limene lakongola ladha kuchokera ku maiko akunja. Ndeno kuyankha funso lanu achifundo Max kuchokera ku Phalombe, tikhoza kutero ndithu na kuti pakadali pano ndimene tilili ndithu kunena kuti ngongole za dziko lino zili pa 24 trillion kwacha. Chabwino akuti pena ndimaona ngati amene ali ndi udindo amakongola ndalama ndi zolinga za maganizo awo osati kusintha mdziko, cause padzana tinamveka kuti tili pa 0% kenaka kumalowa mitunda. So kodi ngati kukongola opanda zolinga zingayende, mwina tisinthe kukongola ndalama kwa anthu akunja azipanga zitukuko, ife tizibwenza tizoona than kubwereka ndalama mgwirizano. Timagwira nsewu akuti chipatala ndi ma stadium zimaoneka ndi maso. Chabwino akuti komano kubwera kwa ndalama yomwe ikuthera mthumba awanda Stafford Mpoto kuchokera kulilangwe Blantyre. Chabwino tithokoze mpaka uthenga umenewo, koma tifotokoze ndithu na kuti tsiku la lero lipereke mwayi kwa inu monganso achinyamata komanso amene mukutitsatira masamba athu anchezo, kunena kuti muthe kulondoloza bwinobwino komanso kuzindikira kunena kuti kodi ngongole zimenezi zimachitika motani. Ndemo kana fotokozera kuti chilichonse kuno chili set, achinyamata afika kale, tibwerenso bwanji tipereke kwa amene akuti tsogolera mombo umenewo, kenako ine ndibwerenso pano ndi achinyamata komanso kufotokoza mwa zina zimene apereka. Ndine Cedric George, takhalani pamenepo.
Father Lord, we lift all our plans into your hands and pray that Lord, you be with each and every one of us as we go through our program. And we pray, Almighty Father, that you will continue to give us insights and you help us as we deliberate on issues to support our country. In the name of our Lord Jesus Christ, we pray. Amen.
Thank you so much. My name is Godfrey Malongo Jr. and I am going to be your co-host today together with my friend.
Yes, and I am Memory Mbewe, and I'm going to be with this guy.
Thank you so much. The guest of honor, the Principal Secretary of Administration in the Ministry of Finance, Economic Planning and Development, Mr. Patrick Ipava, the United Nations Resident Coordinator ad interim and UNICEF representative, Dr. Penny Campbell, the European Union Delegation, Chargé d'Affaires, Elsie Bonstra, Deputy Director of Youth in the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture, Mr. Deus Lupenga, the National Youth Council of Malawi, Director of Finance and Administration, Mr. Ernest Mangani, the Deputy Chairperson of Budget and Finance Committee of Parliament, Honorable Emily Chintupiri, representatives of the civil society organizations, officials from the Reserve Bank of Malawi, officials from the National Planning Commission, all development partners present here, the organizing consortium members of this event, distinguished guests, young people, ladies and gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning. Yes, so allow me to ride on the protocols that have already been observed. Welcome once again. Are you guys doing okay? Are you guys doing okay? Yes, that's more like it. Yes, so before we start everything on the program, allow me to run through in terms of what we have today on the program. So we'll shortly have Mr. Dala to come and just give us some welcoming remarks, who is the chairperson for the consortium team that has organized this event. And then we'll have some speeches from some of the delegates that are here. And then the juicy part of the day, we're going to have the position paper that we young people developed from our engagements yesterday and also previously. So we're going to just let you know of what we have in the position paper, and then we'll have also the guest of honor to receive this and some of the delegates that are here as well. We're going to have a juicy photo shoot And of course, there will be some panel discussions. We'll have 2 of them. And then that's how we're going to finish our day.
Indeed, and of course, I would not be doing justice to this country if I did not congratulate the Malawi women's football team, the Scorchers, for going through the quarterfinals.
Yes.
Yes, great achievement and great inspiration for all of us as young people. And just to mention that young people have been doing different engagements throughout the previous months, including yesterday, where we had all sat down just to deliberate about debt and trying to help all of our young people to understand all the debt systems management, transparency and accountability systems, and specifically how as young people we can come in terms of deliberating issues about debt towards ensuring transparency and accountability. And we've had very, very fruitful engagements and conversations. And these young people that you're seeing here are representations of millions of Malawian young people out there. Just to mention that we've had different engagements, different panels of discussions over the last few months, different programs which have been tuned in by hundreds of thousands of young people across Malawi just to understand, to deliberate on issues to do with debt. So for us to have this this event where we have all development partners, all our decision makers, all the partners who work with young people, it's truly an honor, and it's an honor for all of us as young people to be here.
Yes, definitely. We are very honored. And of course, we're also honored to have you today, because yesterday was just our day. We didn't have you guys. And welcome in our space. So we hope that you've brought some of your energies that you had packed up some years back. And please, when you come here in front, if you're having a speech, do let us know how you would like us to address you, so that we do it right. But otherwise, we're grateful that you're in the room with us.
And just to let you know, this room is composed of different young leaders, directors of different youth-led organizations. We have students from different universities across Malawi, some from the University of Livingstonia, some from Lilongwe University of Agriculture, some from University of Malawi. Are you here? Perfect.
You're not cheering.
We also have some secondary school students. We did not leave any single young person behind. So we have all different demographics that exist within the demographic of young people in here, and we have all participated in these conversations. So by the time our position paper is presented, just know that's a representation of different groups of young people across Malawi.
Yes, so to begin our program, let me call to the stage Mr. Dala to come and give us some welcoming remarks.
The guest of honor, Principal Secretary, Ministry of Finance, Economic Planning and Development, Mr. Patrick Ripava, the United Nations Resident Coordinator at Interim and UNICEF Representative, Dr. Penelope Campbell, the European Union Delegation, Chargé d'Affaires, S. Bonstra, Deputy Director of Youth in the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture, Mr. Deus Lupenga, National Youth Council of Malawi, NICOM, Director of Finance and Administration, Mr. Ernest Mangani, Deputy Chairperson of Budget and Finance Committee of Parliament, Honorable Emily Piri, representatives of the civil society organizations, officials from the Reserve Bank of Malawi, officials from the National Planning Commission, all development partners, the organizing committee, distinguished guests, youth leaders, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Viva my youth, viva! Viva my youth, viva! Viva my youth, viva! All right, now I can see that the young people are in the room. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my great honor and privilege to welcome you all to the second and final day of the first ever National Youth Symposium on Public Debt. Yesterday, we laid a strong foundation. We learned from experts, challenged assumptions, exchanged ideas, and most importantly, we demonstrated that young people are ready to engage in conversations about Malawi's economic future. The energy in this room, the thoughtful questions, and even the healthy debates reminded us why this symposium was necessary. Yesterday, one thing became clear. Young people are not asking for a seat at the table because it is fashionable. They are asking because the decisions made today will shape the opportunities they inherit tomorrow. That message came through consistently, and I hope we carry that same spirit into today's discussions. To my fellow youth, as we begin today's program, we are not starting a new conversation. We are building on one. The conversations that we had yesterday have brought us to today's important discussions with policymakers, development partners, parliament, the private sector, and other stakeholders. So today is our opportunity to connect what we learned with the decisions and actions that shape the country's future. On behalf of the consortium, comprising of For Equality, Global Platform Malawi, Quota for Youth, Timveni Child and Youth Media Organization, Youth Forum for National Transformation, and Youth Wave, I sincerely thank each one of you for accepting our invitation and for believing in the importance of this dialogue. To the stakeholders and partners, your presence demonstrates a shared commitment to building Malawi where economic decisions are informed by transparency, accountability, and meaningful citizen participation. I would also like to thank every participant who actively contributed yesterday, whether you asked a question, challenged a perspective, shared an experience during the group discussions that we had yesterday, or simply listened with an open mind. You helped shape the first day, and it is because of your contributions that the first day was a success. So thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, the symposium is part of the Pabwalo Ndiaji Nyamata program. This is a youth-led governance and accountability platform. It seeks to strengthen meaningful youth participation in public policy, civic engagement, and national development. So over the past few months, we have taken this conversation beyond conference rooms. We did this through national webinars, radio and television programs, digital platforms, and even community dialogues. And through these interventions, thousands of young people have been introduced to issues of public debt, fiscal governance, transparency, and accountability. These engagements have revealed one important reality. Young people want to participate. Not so. They want to understand how public resources are managed, they want their voices heard, and they want to contribute to solutions that shape a stronger Malawi. Ladies and gentlemen, public debt is often viewed as a technical issue reserved for economists and policymakers. But the truth is, it affects every young person in this room and in this country. Yesterday's discussions reminded us that public debt is not an abstract economic concept. It influences the quality of public services, opportunities for young people, and the choices our country can make today and in the future. That is why this conversation belongs to all of us. And when debt is managed responsibly, it can finance development and transform lives. But when transparency and accountability are weak, it can limit opportunities and press a heavy burden on future generations. All of us. That is why this conversation matters. The symposium is not about assigning blame. Rather, it is about encouraging informed dialogue, promoting transparency, strengthening accountability, and ensuring that public borrowing delivers tangible benefits for the people of Malawi, especially the youth. Ladies and gentlemen, today's program takes us one step further. Beyond understanding the issues, we now have the opportunity to engage directly with those responsible for shaping policy, overseeing public resources, and strengthening accountability. It is through conversations like this that trust is built, ideas are refined, and practical solutions begin to emerge. Young people make up more than 60% of Malawi's total population. Yet, for far too long, discussions on public borrowing and fiscal policy have largely taken place without their voice. We believe that must change. Young people are not merely beneficiaries of development. They are partners in development. They are innovators, they are entrepreneurs, researchers, advocates, professionals, and future leaders whose ideas deserve space in the national decision making. Through this symposium, we hope to strengthen young people's understanding of public debt, deepen collaboration between youth and policymakers, and develop practical recommendations that contribute to improved debt transparency, accountability, and economic governance. We hope that this engagement will inspire continued dialogue beyond these 2 days and strengthen partners that will press young people at the heart of Malawi's development agenda. Ladies and gentlemen, as we listen to today's speeches, panel discussions, let us remember that the goal is not simply to live with more information. The goal is to live with stronger partnerships, practical recommendations, and a shared commitment to ensuring that public debt serves the interests of Malawians, especially young people, and generations that will inherit the consequences. At this juncture, please allow me to express sincere appreciation to the government of Malawi for its technical support and its continued engagement with youth-led initiatives. We are equally grateful to our development partners, including the UNRCO, United Nations Economic Commission for Africa, the European Union, UNICEF Malawi, the National Democratic Institute, Action Aid Malawi, Serve the Children, the Economics Association of Malawi, and all institutions that continue to invest in youth participation, democratic governance, and economic transformation. Your support demonstrates confidence in the ability of young people to contribute meaningfully to national development. To my fellow young people gathered here today, I encourage you to make the most of this opportunity. Ask bold questions, share practical ideas, listen to different perspectives, and most importantly, work together to develop solutions that will help shape a more transparent, accountable, and prosperous Malawi. The conversations we began yesterday should not end when this symposium closes. They should continue in our communities, our institutions, our workplaces, and wherever decisions about our country's future are made. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, thank you for joining us and for your continued commitment to this important conversation. I wish us all a fruitful discussion and a successful conclusion to this historic symposium. Thank you. May God bless you all, and may God bless Malawi.
Wamenyet. Let's give her another round of applause. How do you even follow through something like that and then you come and speak again? It just doesn't make sense, does it? Thank you so much, Tadala. She has provided great strategic direction towards the organizing committee to make sure that this event has been pulled up, and we are truly, truly grateful for that. At this point, I would like to Elsie Bonstra, the Charge d'Affaires from the EU delegation, to give us her speech. As she's coming to the stage, let's give her a round of applause.
Indeed, how to follow after that. Gosh, that was a very inspiring speech just now. The guest of honor, my UN colleagues, representatives of government and oversight institutions, development partners, civil society, especially the young women and men gathered here today. Amaindia bambo mwazuka bwanji. Ndazuka zikomo. Allow me to stand on the protocols that have been established earlier, and I will just move on into my remarks, if you'll allow me. Thank you. I am very happy and indeed very excited to join you here today at this National Youth Symposium on Debt Transparency and Management in Malawi. Let me begin by recognizing and congratulating the organizers for bringing forward such a timely and important initiative. This symposium is particularly valuable because it is about and for, and importantly organized by, young people. Young people taking an interest in strengthening their own meaningful participation in fiscal governance, public debt accountability, and policy engagement processes. Issues such as public debt, budget transparency, and public finance management are too often treated as technical subjects, as was already mentioned, to be discussed by the specialists. In reality, however, these issues matter to everyone, and especially to young people. They are decisive factors in shaping the resources available for public services such as education, jobs, healthcare, infrastructure, and climate resilience. They influence the opportunities that young people have today and the kind of future that they will indeed inherit tomorrow. Young people are among those most affected by debt-related decisions. Yes, yet they are often excluded from the discussions on debt governance and public finance. And this is why youth participation in these debates is not just desirable, it is actually necessary. Young people have an important role to play in asking questions, demanding transparency, and encouraging accountability in how public resources are managed and used. When youth are informed, organized, and equipped with the right knowledge, they can engage meaningfully with policymakers, contribute to public debate, and help strengthen accountability in public debt management and broader public financial governance. And indeed, I would like to add a personal note here. I would just, it's my daughter's 8th birthday today. And I just, thank you. I was reflecting this morning on my experience as a mother. And one thing that came up was that indeed young people, and this applies to my daughter specifically, want to be heard. And I can tell you from my experience as a mother that if my kids don't feel that they are being heard, I am in big trouble. So just on a personal note, I wanted to add that. So this engagement in turn adds a forward-looking dimension to the work of policymakers, for they are taking decisions for the future and not just for today. I am grateful to be here today to witness the emergence of such an informed, organized, and empowered youth constituency, capable of demanding transparency, strengthening accountability, and contributing to more responsible public debt finance management in Malawi. This is what makes today's symposium so important. It helps bridge the gap between technical policy discussions and citizen engagement. It creates a space where young people can build knowledge, share perspectives, ask difficult but necessary questions, and engage directly with institutions and decision makers. And this is how participation becomes meaningful, not just symbolic, but informed, constructive, challenging at times when necessary, and connected to real policy processes. In Malawi, the European Union supports citizen participation in decision making not just because it is a fundamental democratic principle, but also because it's an essential element of a stronger accountability. Alongside its support for public financial management reform, anti-corruption efforts and oversight institutions, the EU also promotes participatory and inclusive governance, precisely by supporting dialogues such as today's. Through access to civil society, academia, the media and other actors, citizens can engage more effectively in policy processes and accountability, including in the management of public resources. And as we all know from the families and workplaces that we are part of, the more perspectives and considerations are taken into account, the better the decisions are for everybody involved. This commitment is also reflected in the active participation of the Malawi Youth Sounding Board in this event, an initiative that was launched by the EU back in 2023 to help us as EU in Malawi to make better decisions with regard to our own programs and projects. So let me conclude by warmly congratulating the symposium organizers once again. This is a strong example of an initiative shaped by young people for young people and with a strong potential to contribute to the future of Malawi as a whole. Thank you very much for making me part of this very uplifting event. Zikomo kwambiri ndi tsiku labwino.
All right, thank you very much again for that wonderful speech. Let's give another round of applause. Yes, just a quick few reminders. Remember, if you are posting about this event, we have 2 hashtags. Do you remember them, guys? Do you remember them? Do you want to tell these guys what we're doing? Okay. Okay, date matters to me. Guys. Date matters to me. Youth for accountability. Yes, that's what we're putting when we're posting. So should you happen to post on your social media platforms, these are our hashtags. Yes, and this event is being held under the theme Reimagine Youth Engagement, Debt Transparency and Accountability. So moving on with the program, let me invite to the podium Dr. Penny. Oh, I guess she's already here before I could say who she is, but thank you.
I'm so excited to listen to your position paper. I'll be quick. But distinguished guest of honor, it's such a pleasure to meet you this morning. It's been a real pleasure. And Elsa, it's always a pleasure to collaborate. And to all other distinguished guests, welcome. Big warm welcome. And I'm going to try this. I'm not as good as Elsa, but Zabobo! Muli Bwanji. So thank you so much. I'm really pleased to be representing the UN system in Malawi at this very important youth symposium. This symposium is timely, practical, and deeply important. It's not just another meeting about economics. It's a conversation about fairness, trust, opportunity, and the future that young people will inherit and shape. Yesterday, I understand many of you took part in the capacity building sessions on the foundations of public debt and governance. And those sessions laid the groundwork for today's dialogue, equipping you with the knowledge and tools to understand debt not only as numbers on a balance sheet, but as a matter of justice, of opportunity and accountability. So building on that foundation, this symposium has been designed to strengthen your understanding, youth understanding of public debt, transparency, accountability and policy engagement. And I understand I'm really looking forward to the declaration, your position paper, and more importantly, a sustained community of practice where you will continue to engage on debt governance. But let me begin with a simple truth. For young people, public debt is again not just about numbers on a balance sheet. It is about whether there'll be decent jobs, quality education, accessible health services, climate resilience, and space for your innovation. When debt is well managed, transparent, and invested in people, it can support development. When it is not, the costs are often paid by those with the least voice and the longest future ahead of them. That is exactly why your presence here really, really counts. And this symposium aligns with the aspirations of Malawi 2063 and the National Economic Recovery Plan, as well as the UN Sustainable Development Goals. And it's really consistent with the UN and Government of Malawi and UN Sustainable Development Cooperation Framework, which contains 4 strategic priorities: promoting inclusive growth, strengthening governance, investing in human capital, and enhancing resilience to climate and other shocks. But in practical terms, the cooperation framework calls for more inclusive economic opportunities for youth, stronger and more transparent institutions, better access to quality social services, and greater resilience for communities. It's also very explicit that better governance requires people like you, especially women, youth, and those furthest left behind, to be more engaged in government decisions and empowered to claim your rights. So today I want to say clearly to the young people of Malawi, as well as in this room, you're not here as observers. You are here as stakeholders, as rights holders, and as partners in shaping Malawi's future. In the words of the UN Secretary General, Antonio Guterres, we cannot create a future fit for our grandchildren with a system built by our grandparents. Yeah? Thank you. So the pact also calls, the UN Pact for the Future also calls for reforming sovereign debt systems to ensure sustainable borrowing and better serving countries. So to the young people of Malawi, your role is not simply to demand change, it is also to help define what better looks like. Better means borrowing that is transparent, accountable, and efficient. That is why I'm encouraged by the intention of this symposium to move beyond discussion towards concrete outputs. The Youth Declaration on debt transparency and accountability, stronger engagement with policymakers, like our guest of honor here today, and follow through, through the community of practice that will be established, because follow-up beyond the declaration will be really, really vital. So the UN will continue to support platforms that can connect youth leadership with national development processes, strengthen evidence-based dialogue, and expand opportunities for meaningful participation. But let me close with this. Malawi's future will not be secured by technical expertise alone. It will be secured when knowledge meets participation, when policy meets accountability, and when young people move from being spoken about to being listened to and acted with. So thank you so very much. I'm so excited to hear your position paper next. Zikomo Kwambiri. Thank you.
Let's give her another hand. Besides all the other beautiful quotes that we can extract from her speech, the one that stood out the most for me was, we cannot head into our future to make these things happen. It will only be secured when knowledge meets participation. And that's exactly what we are trying to do by organizing things like this. At this point, I would like to introduce Chifundo Robert. He's going to come to the stage to give us and present the position paper that we have been hinting throughout this morning. And I hope we are all excited to hear what we have put together as the collective youth voice. So as he's coming to the stage, let's give him a round of applause.
All right, thank you so much, Godfrey. That's amazing. Um, all right. The guest of honor, Principal Secretary, Minister of Finance, Economic Planning and Decentralization, Mr. Patrick Lipav. The United Nations Resident Coordinator, Zinteri, and UNICEF representative, Dr. Penrop Cample. The European Union delegation, Cheji Esobosta. Deputy Director of Youth in the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture, Mr. Deus Penga. Deputy Chairperson, the National Youth Council of Malawi, Director of Finance and Administration, Mr. Ernest Mangani. The Deputy Chairperson of Budget and Finance Committee of Parliament, Honorable Emile Chinpiri in absentia. Representatives from civil society organizations, officials from Reserve Bank, officials from National Planning Commission, all development partners here present, the organizing consortium members, distinguished guests, my fellow young people here present, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here this morning with a very small work to do, a very small assignment to do, but of course representing the voices of young people here in Malawi. What I want to present to you here is what young people from Nsanje to Chitipa have presented here, representing all 3 regions, including Eastern region. So what I have here is what young people have been discussing over 6 months, and of which is responding or is speaking to the presentation of national budget that was presented by the Minister of Finance, Honorable Mwanamvega, should be in December. What we have here is also speaking to what was recently presented during the media review. And of course, what we have here is also speaking to the conversations that young people have had during the online engagements from the webinars. And of course, what the young people had, the conversation young people had yesterday. So, guests here present, I have a position paper here, as I'm saying, that has been developed by young people and is being presented to the government, to the development partners, and of course all of us here, and of course those that are also joined, those that are joining online. And this position paper is under the theme, the reimagining youth engagement, great transparency and accountability, of which is also the theme for this first ever National Youth Symposium on public debt. I think I'll be able to introduce the team that has been, spearheading this as I go ahead with my presentation on the position paper. So as we all know that Malawi is highly constituted by young people, of which demographically it shows that we're almost 70% or more. More especially those that are under the age of 35. And we are also a generation that will obviously inherit the consequences of the decisions that are made today about public debt, decisions that are made on all other fiscal governance issues. But in most cases, these are happening without having the structured mechanism for the young people's impulse. We are not here to oppose borrowing, and we have to assure you that. We are not here to oppose borrowing. public borrowing, managed responsibly and directed toward productive investment, can accelerate development. That's what we know as young people. We support borrowing. That finances agriculture, that finances infrastructure, that finances education, that finances manufacturing, that finances climate resilience. But of course, we also oppose borrowing that finances recurrent expenditure, which is normally contracted without the parliamentary scrutiny, for example, which is contracted without the other, processes. And we also oppose the kind of borrowing that is not disclosed to the public on the point it is made. We are here because Malawi is in debt crisis. I think I'll also be able to share with you where we're getting that. As we said before, our position paper is factual because we have some facts, more especially those that are coming from the statement made by the Minister of Finance and of course other institutions. So we are here because transparency, accountability, and youth participation in fiscal governance are not optional extracts. They are prerequisites for sustainable debt management. This paper, therefore, sets out our evidence base, our concerns, our specific recommendations. We submit it to the Malawi government, to Parliament, to Reserve Bank, to development partners, and to the EU delegations as a formal youth position that demands a formal response. Now, as I said before, that we also have some evidence to what we are speaking to. Malawi's public debt, as it stands right now, we see that it has grown from 3.9 trillion Malawi kwacha in 2019 to an estimated figure of about 24 trillion Malawi kwacha. That figure, you can cross-check with the report that was presented by the minister by the end 2025, representing approximately 90% of our gross domestic product, GDP. But of course, in the same report, it shows that out of this, 16 trillion is from domestic debt, which is representing about 65%. 67% of GDP, while 8 trillion of this debt stock, representing 33%, is from external. We also have some stories that also speak to how this huge domestic debt hinges a number of issues that also affect young people. We also have those issues I think I'll be able to share with you as I go with my presentation. So domestic debt primarily contracted through treasury bills, notes, and government securities issued via the Reserve Bank of Malawi. The 2026-2027 national budget also records a deficit of over 2.8 trillion, and we also know the stories around that. So from the 10.9 trillion, the total budget that we have for the 2026-2027, 2.8 trillion is a deficit that we have. And we also know the stories that basically come from that, which obviously we assume that to fix that debt, it means, to fix that deficit, we also have to come back to borrowing. So debt service costs interest payments alone exceeds 2.7 trillion Malawi kwacha. And this is what is presented in the national budget. And this is only the interest. This means that for every kwaja collected in revenue, a significant share goes directly to debt repayment before a single teacher is paid, before even a single youth is employed, before even a single clinic officer is stocked, or a single road is constructed here in Malawi. Both the International Monetary Fund for IV consultation 2025 and the World Bank Malawi Economic Monitor of July 2025 formally classifies Malawi as being distressed. The International Monetary Fund identifies need for fiscal consolidation, domestic revenue mobilization, and improve the public finance management. The World Bank points out the slow growth, high inflation, and foreign exchange shortages are the compounding factors of all these that I'm presenting. So, of course, I have some indicators that I want to share with you. We are trying to give you figures so that you should also appreciate how we are becoming conversant with these issues. So the first indicator, the total debt stock NPO 2025, it was about 24 trillion, as I said before, which is about 90% of our GDP. It means every production that we do here in Malawi, the revenue correction and whatnot, 90% goes to debt. That's according to the Malawi government budget presentation or report of 2026-2027. Domestic borrowing share alone is 67%. That's according to the same report. The annual interest cost, 2.7 trillion, as I said before. And then obvious debt transparency score, it shows that we are significantly below international standards. That's according to the Open Budget Survey. Now, I also want to share with you on the transparency gap, because that's also one of the critical components that young people have been discussing over 6 months. So the Open Budget Survey of 2025, data accountability module, confirms that Malawi falls significantly short of international standards for data transparency, oversight, and the public participation. The specific gaps identified include inadequate disclosure of loan terms and conditions at the point of contracting, incomplete reporting of contingent liabilities, and the state-owned enterprise debt, weak reconciliation systems between borrowing agencies and the debt and aid management department, and limited parliamentary capacity to scrutinize. This one has been becoming very critical, more especially on the limited parliamentary capacity to scrutinize debt-related legislations. Despite the Access to Information Act enacted in 2016, access to timely and the comprehensive public data remains limited. That is the information that came from young people. Borrowing decisions are frequently not disclosed until after funds have been committed, constrained both parliamentary oversight and public accountability, supporting the efforts of government. The EU, through its own multi-annual indicative program for Malawi 2021-2027, sets a target for improving Malawi's open budget index score from 27 out of 100 to above 60. But now, before I proceed, I also want to share with you the dimension of young people speaking to the same. So, as we said before, young people constitute the majority of Malawi population, and the majority of its workforce yet they are almost entirely absent from fiscal governance processes. The 2024 labor force survey by the National Statistics Office records a youth unemployment rate of about 21%. Among these are those that are from ages of 15 to 35. But of course, 41% are classified as in employment, education, or training. The NEET rate. These figures exist in a context where the government's capacity to invest in youth employment, education, entrepreneurship is directly constrained by the fiscal space consumed by debt servicing. Following the September 2025 general elections, the data also shows that from the parliament, 3.1% of members of parliament are aged 30 or younger, and only 21% are below the age of 40. Currently, the Malawi National Assembly has institutionalized the youth caucus that we know. However, this caucus lacks capacity to effectively advocate for debt transparency, accountability. Regionally, countries such as Rwanda have demonstrated that the improved debt transparency frameworks, stronger public reporting standards, and enhanced parliamentary oversight capacity are achievable and produce measurable improvements in governance quality. Kenya also has shown that organized youth advocacy on fiscal governance, backed by evidence and coalition, can influence policy outcomes. Malawi as well must do the same. I think this is the reason why, as young people, came together to start this conversation. So now, what this means to us as young people, Malawi's debt crisis is not an abstract macroeconomic variable. It has a directly measurable consequences for young people across all those three regions that I said, including the eastern region. There are a number of issues or a number of areas that are affected from public debt, of which we also see them as more or less like the opportunity or cost of debt servicing. How does it affect some parameters or some variables that affect the young people? The first one is about the fiscal space compression. As debt service absorbs nearly half of the government revenue, discretionary spending on education, health, social protection, youth employment programs faces real-term reduction. Secondly, private sector crowding out. Heavy domestic borrowing through treasury bills and other processes greatly affects private sector investments. Why? Because when government is borrowing a lot within the domestic, what normally happens with the investors, it becomes very hard for them to find where maybe they can borrow to invest, which in long run, obviously, it also affects the development. Austerity-driven employment restrictions. International Monetary Fund aligns fiscal consolidation measures, including public sector employment restraint, reducing formal job opportunities at precisely the moment when the youth population is largest. Weakened the ATMM implementation. High debt servicing costs weaken the government capacity to fund the agricultural commercialization, tourism, mining, manufacturing sectors. The sectors with the greatest potential for youth employment and export growth. Finally, on this section, young people also pointed out that intergeneration burden transfer is one of the critical issues or the opportunity cost that we see from debt servicing, for example. So the borrowing decisions made today will be saved by tomorrow's taxpayers. I think there was a very brilliant quote, and I also quote to say, we can't expect to have, I mean, to have the future, I mean, the future development with the systems that were developed by our grandparents. So whatever the borrowing that we are doing today is also affecting the future generations. So how is this aligning now to the national and the international frameworks? Our position remains anchored by the national development frameworks. For example, the Malawi 2063 envisions an inclusively wealthy and self-reliant industrialized upper middle income country with youth as the primary enabler of that transformation. So the vision explicitly states that youth shall be the drivers of the development agenda, sustainable, transparent debt management is a prerequisite for the productive investments in agriculture, in tourism, in mining, in manufacturing that Malawi 2063 requires. Debt that finances the recurrent expenditure or projects within limited economic returns directly undermines the vision. The National Economic Recovery Program, as well, of 2025 to 2030, similarly prioritizes macroeconomic stability, export, growth, fiscal sustainability, and improve the public sector efficiency. Our recommendations on the disclosure, parliamentary scrutiny, and the domestic borrowing reduction are directly aligned with the NERP's own objectives. Internationally, the European Union annual indicative program for Malawi explicitly commits to strengthen public finance management, transparency, and civic participation in fiscal governance. The IMF and the World Bank's own reform recommendations, fiscal discipline, domestic revenue mobilization, improved PFM, point in the same direction. We are not asking for anything inconsistent with what the government of Malawi, for example, has already committed to, and what international partners have already started supporting. But now, what better looks like the opportunities that we have for Malawi. Responsible, transparent debt management remains a government requirement and an economic opportunity. Countries that have strengthened their debt transparency frameworks have attracted more favorable borrowing terms, improved the investor confidence, and unlocked development partner support that was previously conditioned on government reforms. For Malawi specifically, there are 4 near-term opportunities that responsible debt management would unlock. The first the first opportunity is the improved borrowing terms. Greater transparency in loan contracting and debt reporting reduces perceived risk and can improve the terms of which Malawi access concessional financing from multilateral lenders. Secondly, youth employment through ATMM. Freeing fiscal space from debt servicing enables greater investments in agricultural commercialization, tourism, and the manufacturing sectors, including mining. The primary drivers of youth, which are also the primary drivers of youth employment and export. On the development partner alignment, as we said, these are some of the opportunities that we see. That several development partners, including EU, UN, have conditioned and linked the programming to governance. and the FPM reform, demonstrating progress on data transparency could unlock additional program support. And on youth civic capacity, investing in financial literacy and youth participation budget processes creates a long-term accountability consistency and informed the citizenry capable of sustained oversight, reduces governance vacuum that has enabled opaque borrowing practices. Now, dear guests, I want to present to you the recommendations, which is the very last section that I want to share with you. The recommendations that young people is sending to the government, to the development partners, and all the players on public debt. So the following are the specific and addressed to the named institutions and grounded in the evidence presented in the paper. We request the written acknowledgement and a response from each addressed institution within 30 days of the symposium. Meaning to say, starting from today, we request for a written acknowledgement of the position or of the recommendations that we are putting forward. The first recommendation is on the mandatory real-time disclosure. And this one is going to the Ministry of Finance, Economic Planning and the Decentralization. So young people are requesting the government of Malawi through the ministry to establish a publicly accessible real-time digital debt dashboard that is developed by the Debt and Aid Management Department within the ministry, but of course in collaboration with other line ministries like the Ministry of Information. And on that, young people are giving the ministry 12 months to make sure that that dashboard has been developed. So the dashboard should disclose all loan agreements, including the terms, conditions, interest rates, repayment schedules, stated purpose at the point of contracting, not only retrospectively in that regards. This would do. So young people are saying this would give a practical effect to the Access to Information Act. Because I think what young people saw was that that act somehow is just like a paper, because we don't have the practical synergies through which that act is implemented. So, among others, this should also extend to Chichewa version, for example, because what we want is that, young people from Talili, from Nsanje, even all the citizens, should really understand the issues around borrowing. The reason behind that is that I think it has been the case here to say on issues to do with public debt, are the conversations for the economists, are the conversations for the allies. So now I want to bring that to the context that everyone should know, should be transparent. I mean, everyone should know how all those processes are happening. So we requested that it has also to be in the Chichewa version. The second recommendation, enact a comprehensive debt management law. So now this one is going to the Parliament of Malawi in absentia, but of course we'll find ways to get to this. So, thank you. The Finance and Budget Committee of Parliament should, within the current parliamentary session, table a debt management bill that establishes a binding legal framework for public borrowing at minimum, the law should require parliamentary approval for all new external and domestic borrowing above as specified by the threshold. Mandatory disclosure of loan terms before parliamentary vote, establishment of debt ceiling tied to GDP, and annual independent audit of debt management by National Audit Office with a specific desk for auditing debt contracted projects. The current framework relies on executive direction, which is legal, ceiling with parliamentary oversight, would structurally reduce the governance risk that IMF and the World Bank have identified. The third recommendation is going to the Minister of Finance, Economic Planning and Decentralization, and the National Youth Council of Malawi, of which the young people are requesting that there has to be an establishment of a formal youth participation mechanism in the budget cycle. So there's currently no formal mechanism for youth input into national budget. And as I said before, we are speaking based on what the policies are saying and what the reports are also saying. We recommend that the Minister of Finance, in partnership with the Minister of Youth and the National Youth Council of Malawi, establish an annual youth budget consultation, which must be held before the budget. And I think young people discussed that it has to be more practical than ever before on that. And then the fourth recommendation is going to the Minister of Finance and the Reserve Bank of Malawi. That young people requested that we should reduce domestic borrowing with a clear transition path. We recommend that the government set a time-bound target to reduce domestic borrowing as a share of total public debt from currently 65% to borrow 50% within 3 years by increasing concessional external financing, accelerating domestic revenue mobilization through broadening the tax base rather than increasing rates and reducing essential current expenditure. The government of Malawi, through the Minister of Finance, should leverage on the existing debt climate swaps as well as seeking grants. The Reserve Bank of Malawi should additionally publish quarterly treasury bill issuance data in accessible non-technical formats so that citizens can monitor domestic borrowing trends in real time. And then I also have a recommendation that is going to Parliament of Malawi, but through the Finance and Budgetary Committee, and of course, Minister of Finance as well. So all loan authorization bills presented to Parliament should include as the minimum standard the following information: total loan amount and the currency, lender identity, and loan category, applicable interest rate and the fee structure, repayment schedules, and the maturity period, a specific purpose and project or program to be financed, expected economic return or development outcome, risk assessment. Members of Parliament should also not be required to vote on borrowing without this information. That is what young people are requesting to Parliament and of course Minister of Finance. To the development partners, young people also agreed to share with you one of the critical components as well, where young people are lobbying, not just lobbying, but they are requesting that development partners have to be supporting the youth-led initiatives on public debt. With the same, not just an assumption to say that these young people are the one bearing the burden on public debt. And we also have another recommendation that is now going to the civil society organizations. I mean to the civic education on public debt, on finance and literacy. So young people are recommending that the Minister of Education, Minister of Youth, the National Youth Council of Malawi, and of course the civil society should deliberately have awareness and the understanding of public debt issues. It has been an issue in Malawi where a lot more of these institutions, we discuss issues like SRHR, climate. Of course, it's very critical, but there are some very important issues here that sometimes also, lead to those other issues. So it's very important that these institutions that I've mentioned, they should deliberately create awareness around the public debt. In conclusion, Malawi debt crisis is not inevitable, and its consequences for young people are not avoidable. What is required now is that there has to be a structural shift from OPEC, discretionary borrowing, toward the transparent, accountability, and youth inclusive fiscal governance. The young people who participated in the symposium, starting from yesterday, and of course other pre-symposium engagements, are not asking for charity, nor for the symbolic inclusion. They are asking for the governance mechanism that allow us to participate meaningfully in the decisions that will shape our lives, the lives of our children, and we are also asking for the disclosure, scrutiny, accountability, and the seat. And the seat at the table, not after decisions are made, but before, during, and after. We are saying this because, as we said before, the Malawi 2063 declares that youth shall be drivers of national development agenda. That declaration is not meaningless. Is meaningless if young people are excluded in those platforms that I mentioned before. Responsible debt management and meaningful youth participation are not separate goals. They are the same thing. We therefore submit this paper as a formal youth position. We request the formal written responses from the institutions that I mentioned before. And we commit to be monitoring. Because, let me finish by saying this. This that we have started today is the genesis of a bigger thing that we want to be doing. Number one, we'll keep on monitoring, we'll keep on engaging the government, we'll keep on engaging the development partners and the civil society organizations to make sure that the dream, these recommendations the young people have submitted to you should be followed. And through that, let me assure you, with you, that this that we have started today is a momentum of young people that will be pushing on this, not only this, but also other governance issues through the consortium of youth trade organizations. As we said before, through Tadala as well, to say these are the organic young people who have come together to start pushing for this. Other than that, thank you so much. That was the position paper that I took that I came for you. Thank you.
That was hefty, wasn't it? Let's give him another hand. Our guest of honor and all our distinguished guests, that was a collection of all our recommendations and views as young people, which have been directed to different departments, different partners, and different ministries. At this point, before we invite the guest of honor to come and give us the keynote address,
Yes.
we wanted to do a symbolic presentation of
The position paper.
Yes. So we wanted to do a symbolic presentation of this position paper. So at this point, if you may, I'd like to invite the guest of honor to come to the front. I'd also like to invite Dr. Penelope to come to the front to the stage as well. Please, thank you. I would also like to invite Elsie Bonstra to come to the stage to join us, and also the Deputy Director, Mr. Dels Lupenga, to also come to the stage. I'd also like to invite Mr. Dingani Miti to come to the stage as well. And lastly, I'd like to invite Mr. Daniel Tambala from the Bankers Association to also come to the stage for this activity. Thank you.
Yes, as they are coming to the front, let me also invite the consortium members to come and do the presentation. So for Equality, Youth Wave, Quota for Youth, Timveni, Global Platforms, and what is that? What? Oh, you're for that. Yes, please make your way to the stage so that you can do this symbolic presentation. The protocol team, please help to remove this centerpiece. All right, let me ask from the chair, please start giving the minister, and then the rest to follow. That's Quota for Youth representing the consortium. Yes, Youth Wave, you're up next. Yes. That's on behalf of the civil society organizations receiving. Yes, and Timveni, please hand it over to, who is next? Yes, Elsie, please come and receive. And that's Ken representing Timveni within the consortium.
And at last, Global Platform presenting to the Ministry of Youth.
Yes. And in absentia, we'll have one sent to Parliament, which was supposed to be again given by Chifundo. So this is the symbolic representation. As Chifundo already said, the young people are expecting responses from each and every one of you within 30 days in written form. And also we're expecting actions. I'm sure you'll get more information from there. But in the meantime, I will just ask the consortium members to also have a proper photo with the team before we have the guest of honor to give us his key remarks. So the photographers, please let us know when you're done. Yes, please hold them. Hold them where we can see them. Manjamoru.
Thank you so much.
Viva! Viva! Yes, thank you, all of you. You can now go back to your seats.
Without spending further of our time, I would now like to invite our guest of honor to give us his keynote address. Thank you. Let's give him a hand as he's coming to the stage.
Good morning. Good morning. Viva my youth, viva. Viva my youth, viva. Yes. The youth, the people working in the government and everyone, we are partners in national development. Right? Yeah, so engagement is paramount and is very crucial for our future. The United Nations Resident Coordinator and UNICEF representative, Dr. Penelope Campbell, the European Union Delegation Déchargé Affairs, Else Bonstra, the Deputy Chairperson of Budget and Finance Committee of Parliament, Honorable Emile Chintupiri in absentia, the Director for Data and Aid Management in the Ministry of Finance, Economic Planning and Decentralization, Mrs. Tiamika Kantambi, the Deputy Director of Youth in the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture, Mr. Deus Lupenga, National Youth Council of Malawi, NICOM, Director of Finance and Administration, Mr. Ernest Mangan, representatives of the civil society organizations here present, officials from the Reserve Bank of Malawi here present, officials from National Planning Commission here present, all development partners present here, the organizing consortium members here present, all youth leaders here present, colleagues participating through the online platform, all youth leaders, distinguished guests and distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning once again. Before I start, can we give a big hand to the Scotias? That is part of national development, because what we want is every citizen, wherever they are, they should contribute in their own merit to the development of this nation. Agreed. So if we agree on that perspective, I start delivering what the minister guided me to deliver. The minister would want to be here, but we all know he's busy in Parliament presenting bills that will help us to get out of the situation that we're in. So he decided to delegate me, and he thought I'm also a youthful principal secretary and will be able to engage, right? So, yeah, this morning I'm delighted to join at this historic National Youth Symposium of Public Debt Transparency and Accountability. There is no better audience to discuss public debt than the youth. Why? Because you are not just the leaders of tomorrow. You are the taxpayers, the entrepreneurs, and the guarantors of tomorrow's debt. Let me begin by congratulating the consortium of youth-led organizations comprising For Equality, Global Platform Malawi, Quota for Youth, Timveni Child and Youth Media Organization, Youth Forum for National Transformation, and the Youth Wave Malawi for organizing this important national event. This symposium demonstrates that Malawi's young people are not only interested in social and political issues, but are increasingly engaging with complex economic matters that have a bearing on the future of our nation. Both I've lost part of the page which I was using. This symposium demonstrates that Malawi's young people are not only interested in social and political issues, but are increasingly engaging with complex economic matters that have a bearing on the future of our nation. You have chosen a bold theme, which is reimagining youth engagement, debt transparency, and accountability. This is both timely and relevant. You have asked the government to come and account, and we have come openly because we believe transparency is not a favor we do to the citizens. It is an obligation we owe to them. Young people constitutes more than 60%, as said. Therefore, discussions on issues such as debt sustainability are ultimately discussions about your future, your opportunities, your jobs, your education, your health care, and the kind of economy you will inherit. Ladies and gentlemen, public debt is often discussed in technical languages, as said, that can seem distant from realities of ordinary citizens. However, debt is not merely an economic statistic. And why? It does affect the availability of medicines in hospitals, hence quality of health services. It affects investment in the schools and universities and the quality of education. It affects road constructions, energy infrastructure, water systems, and the connectivity. It ability government to create an environment where business can grow, thrive, and generate jobs for young people. As government, we fully acknowledge the concerns being raised regarding Malawi's public debt situation. As mentioned in the 2026-2027 financial year budget statement, which was delivered by the Honorable Minister of Finance, Economic Planning and Decentralization, Honorable Joseph Machola Mwanamveka, Malawi's public debt has risen significantly over the past 5 years and currently stands at approximately 24 trillion, as everyone has mentioned, and based on the documents where you sourced the information that you gave us. And this is representing around 90% of our GDP. This is a huge jump from the debt levels of 4.1 trillion that was recorded in the year 2020. We recognize that this situation requires urgent attention and decisive action. When the current administration assumed office, it found an economy facing severe challenges characterized by high inflation, low foreign exchange reserves, food insecurity, large fiscal deficits, and the growing debt obligation. The reality is that debt servicing is consuming a substantial share of government revenue, limiting the fiscal space available for development financing. To give you the context, interest payments on debt, on domestic debt alone consumes about 43% of the fiscal revenue, up from 22% recorded 4 years ago. Obviously, this is a challenge, but it is a challenge that the government is determined and geared to address. Ladies and gentlemen, every textbook in economics will tell you that public debt is not inherently evil. Even the most advanced economies do borrow. However, the danger begins when we borrow beyond our capacity to repay. When we borrow for consumption rather than investment, and when we borrow opacally. It is therefore imperative to stress the fact that borrowing in itself is not bad. Borrowing becomes problematic when the borrowed resources are not invested productively, when the transparency is lacking, or when debt grows beyond a country's ability to repay sustainably. The real questions, therefore, should not focus on whether Malawi should be borrowing or not. The real questions should focus on how do we borrow responsibly? How do we ensure value for money? How do we ensure transparency and accountability? How do we ensure that every loan contributes to economic and the structural transformation and improves livelihoods of the citizens? We appreciate and understand these legitimate questions and concerns that you young people are putting across, and government welcomes these questions. Ladies and gentlemen, the current debt stress situation in Malawi right now, it has already been said, it's at 90%, characterized by the domestic borrowing coupled with elevated interest costs, has contributed to the crowding out of the private sector, credit, and the subdued growth performance. But I would like to bring a perspective now. In the past 3-4 months, government has reduced, when we are reducing borrowing. Now, on the financial market, there is high liquidity. And now it is the time to say the private sector, which has been crowded out, should go and mop up those finances and put them into productive areas. Right now, the Debt and Aid and the Reserve Bank, when they issue the treasury notes, they're able to reject some of the offers which are made from the lenders. And this is the current situation. Addressing these imbalances is therefore critical not only to debt sustainability, but also to restoring a stable macroeconomic environment conducive to investment and long-term growth. As a Minister of Finance, Economic Planning and Decentralization, we are implementing several reforms aimed at reversing the trend while restoring fiscal and debt sustainability. Among these reforms is the National Economic Recovery Plan, which seeks to restore macroeconomic stability, promote export-led growth, improve food security, support industrialization, concessional borrowing, and place Malawi on a sustainable development trajectory. Government has also put much emphasis on fiscal consolidation. Thus, reforms from the expenditure side coupled with austerity measures are being implemented, and following these efforts, some of the notable achievements have been seen. For example, easing of inflation. You might wish to note that last year in June, inflation was at 27.1% compared to the 21.1% recorded in June this year. The second example, declining interest rates. To illustrate this, last year government was borrowing at 26% for 1 year debt instruments. But currently the rate has gone down to 16%. Ladies and gentlemen, some 2 days ago, there was an article in one of the newspapers which had a heading, Fiscal Deficits narrows further. Did we read that? Who read that article? Did we? So, the article made reference to the recent monthly economic review by the Reserve Bank of Malawi. The article provided a testament that fiscal deficit is indeed on the downward trajectory. Narrowing fiscal deficit demonstrates that there is lower government spending and confirms government's strong focus on expenditure control. Ladies and gentlemen, as mentioned by the Honorable Minister of Finance, Honorable Mwanamveka, in many forums, government is at an advanced stage of restructuring domestic debt, which has been the cause of concerns vis-à-vis Malawi's debt sustainability. The domestic debt restructuring has been designed to restore debt sustainability and reduce fiscal pressure while safeguarding macroeconomic and financial stability. Government is also strengthening debt management systems, improving public finance management, and enhancing monitoring of public investment to ensure that borrowed resources generate measurable development outcomes. Government remains committed to improving transparency in public finance management, because transparency is not merely a governance principle, it is a prerequisite for public trust, hence our obligation. Ladies and gentlemen, the ministry has noted the growing calls for enhanced disclosure of debt information, stronger parliamentary oversight, and the establishment of a more comprehensive legal framework governing public borrowing. These are important discussions we need to continue with. Government welcomes constructive proposals that strengthen accountability while ensuring that Malawi maintains its access to development financing. As we move forward, government remains committed to engaging parliament, civil society, academia, development partners, and citizens, including you, the youth, in discussions that improve debt sustainability, debt governance, and fiscal transparency. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me at this point to acknowledge the role that the young people are playing through the Pabwalo and the Achinyamata initiative. The television and radio programs, national webinars, community dialogues, and digital engagements conducted under this program demonstrates that young people are eager to participate meaningfully in national governance processes. This is exactly the type of civic engagement Malawi needs. And I believe that democracy is strongest when citizens are informed. Accountability is strongest when citizens participate. And development is strongest when young people have a seat at the table. I therefore encourage all participants gathered here not only to ask difficult questions, but also to propose sound and practical solutions. Challenge us where necessary, hold us accountable, but equally important, become active participants, active partners in building the Malawi we want to see. Ladies and gentlemen, my fellow young people, before I conclude, allow me to express the government's appreciation to all stakeholders supporting this important initiative, including the following: the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa, the United Nations Resident Coordinator's Office, the European Union, the National Democratic Institute Malawi, Action Aid Malawi, Save the Children, the Economic Association of Malawi, ECAMA, all development partners, civil society organizations, and all institutions working to promote transparency and accountability, and youth participation in the governance. We also encourage other development partners, civil society organizations, academic institutions, and the private sector to join this effort through technical, financial, and institutional collaboration. Ladies and gentlemen, my fellow young friends, the future of Malawi's economy cannot be shaped by government alone. An active and informed citizenry is a crucial ingredient to the process. The decisions we make today regarding debt sustainability, public investment, and economic governance will shape Malawi for generations to come. Let us therefore work together to ensure that every kwacha borrowed contributes to growth, opportunity, accountability, and sustainable development. I wish you a fruitful deliberation and productive discussions. May God bless you all, and may God bless Malawi. I thank you so much.
Thank you very much for those remarks, and thank you for challenging us and for responding to some of the things. Without wasting much time, we are almost at break time, so we're going to break now. But before we go to the break, we'll make our way to the pool where we'll take a group photo, and then we'll have our refreshments, and we should be back in this room by 11:25 so that we can proceed for the rest of the program. Is that clear? Yes. Yes, to the pool. Let's make our way to the pool. So you can use this door, and there will be somebody outside to direct you. Yes.
Mene posindi pamabuto ha presentation imene hamapanga imene andi
mmodzi mwa akuluakulu ochokera ku unduna wa zachuma Patrick Lipava amene amalankhulapo pa zina mwa ma recommendations amene consortium imeneyi yapereka. Ndiyeno pakambedwa zambiri ndithu consortium imeneyi yapempha kuti pachitike zinthu zochuluka zimene zina mwa izo afotokozapo kunena kuti government is already working on it, and zina afotokozapo zonena kuti it will be considered. However, they have recommended youth-led organization, especially consortium that have organized this event, kunena kuti it has just symbolized or demonstrate kunena kuti achinyamata they are not just interested in politics and social issues, but then they are also committed pa nkhani zokhudza umoyo wawo. Ndiyeno ndikhulupirira kunena kuti posachedwa apa tikhalenso tikubwera ndi Kenson MacLeod ameneyo tikhale tikunguza china chilichonse. Koma kumbukirani kunena kuti amene mungotitsatira kumene iyi ndi Timveni Radio, tili live pa tsamba la Tranchezo Timveni online, komanso tili live pa Timveni television pamene tikupatsirani tsatanetsatane wa mwambo umenewo. Ndiyeno ndikhe ndikubwera ndi Kenson MacLeod kuti tizafotokoze tsatanetsatane wa zimenezo. Koma nanunso mukhoza kutumiza ndemanga yanu ofunso limene pa zimene simunamvetsetse kunena kuti mumve bwinobwino pa 0919 12345 0919 12345. Ndeno apa banje mundilole kuti kanthawi kochepa chabe ndingocheza ndi wachinyamata amene ndili naye pakadali pano. Mwina ndikulandire.
Yes. Ine ndi Mike Manyozo from Luana.
Chabwino. Ma presentation nda amene achitikawa. Walandira motani?
My presentation amene aperekedwawa, they are so insightful. Kuyambira session imene inali dzulo imene inali ya capacity building and training, and the first session of today tinali ndi a representative of the Minister of Finance, the PS, amene so anakamba kwambiri position ya government kuti government ikutipo chani pa public debt, and also chachikulu chimene chitika mamawa muno kunali kupanga present the position later imene achinyamata tinakambirana dzulo kuti tipange present kwa ma stakeholders onse including the government and the parliament imene inapangaso emphasize kunena kuti you cannot just include us youths kungopanga ma engagement okha komanso kuti ife tikhale now in the process yopangira process ngongole government ikamabwereka. For example, we have all us youths mu position later tapanga propose kunena kuti we should have an immediate dashboard imene izikhala pa website ya Ministry of Finance imene izionesa current dates imene tinayo ngati dziko la Malawi, and we have given the government and the Ministry of Finance 30 days kuti akhaona kuti ayikapo dashboard imeneyi. Komanso tinapempha kunena kuti government ikabwereka ngongole it should also invest ma sectors ATMM imene agriculture, tourism, mining and manufacturing industries imene so zingapange employ achinyamata ambiri komanso increasing our GDP. Chachikulu so chimene position later inakamba inayonena kuti ngongole sizoti ndiolakwika, ngongole ndiyofunika kwambiri, komano ngongole tikayitenga we should be investing mu zinthu ma key sectors amene angatibwetse revenue, amene angapange create employment kwa achinyamata afe amene ali agriculture, tourism, mining and manufacturing industry. Yes.
Yeah, izikuoneka kuti mwakambidwa zambiri koma nomwe natangobwerezanso dzina lija
Mike Manyozo.
Chabwino Mike, ine ndikupatse mwayi kuti mwina mwake ukapumule ukaji funa kuti it has been a long presentation and I understand kuti you might be tired, ndiyeno ndikupatse mwayi komano zomwe kwambiri kambokhala.
Thank you.
Yeah, menemo ndi mmene ndachezera ndi Mike amene ndi wophunzira wa Kuluwana amene so anali muno iye wakhanso mbali imodzi ya position paper imene timafotokozapo na kuti position paper imene ndi mawu achinyamata amene akamba iwo ndiye mukhozanso kumva zimene zakambidwa apo ndi zimenenso yeyi wafotokoza kusonyeza na kuti zikuchokeradi kwa achinyamata. Ndiyeno bwanji timwere madzi pang'ono pamene tifuna kuti tiyesere kuti tupatseni interview imene Patrick atipatsire panjapa, ndiyeno bwanji timwerekaye madzi pang'ono.
Services that shapes the future of young people. During this symposium, I hope to engage with experts and fellow young leaders while also contributing to the perspective that economic policies should also consider the impact on youth mental health.
What's up everyone, this is Godfrey Malongo Jr. and I'm excited to be joining my fellow young people for the first ever National Youth Symposium on Public Debt. Yes, public debt, which is happening from the 5th to the 16th of August in Lilongwe, and I'm joining as the events host. So you already know what I'm bringing to the table. And I think knowing that our country is currently going through a public debt crisis, I think it's more important now than ever that young people lead these conversations to ensure that we have more transparency and accountability on public debt. And if you're not able to join us physically, please join us online, as this event will be streamed on Timveni online platforms and together with other platforms that will be streaming this event on this day. See you there.
Do you want to know how your country's debt is affecting you? And do you want to know what to do about it? Come to the Youth Symposium where we'll be covering all of that. See you soon.
I am attending the first ever National Youth Symposium because macroeconomic policies and public debt directly impact Malawi's development, inflation, and the future job market. as a youth, I believe it's vital to understand how financial decisions affect Malawi's trajectory. During the symposium, I look forward to gaining a deeper insight into understanding how sustainable debt management works and how we as a youth can advocate for transparent fiscal policies. I look at this as an opportunity whereby we can give a youth perspective on how public debt affects sectors, for example, agriculture and finance. I also look at this as an opportunity to network with young leaders of tomorrow. I hope to see you there. Tikakona Ndiboko.
Malawian youth, this is your moment. Did you know that Malawi's public debt affects your future, from employment opportunities and education to business growth and national development? Join the first ever National Youth Symposium on Debt Transparency and Management, taking place on the 5th and the 16th of August at Crossroads Hotel in Lilongwe, under the theme Reimagining Youth Power, Debt Transparency and Accountability. Engage with government leaders, economists, policymakers, civil society organizations, and fellow young people as you discuss practical solutions to Malawi's debt challenges and contribute to a more transparent and accountable future. This is your opportunity to raise your voice, share your ideas, influence the conversation, and be part of a meaningful change. Your voice matters. Your ideas matter. Your future matters. Join us on the 5th and 16th of August 2026 at Crossroads Hotel, Lilongwe, and be part of the National Youth Symposium on Debt Transparency and Management. Youth for Accountability, Debt Matters to Me.
I'm so excited to be a part of the first ever National Youth Symposium on Public Debt. Why? This is because the debt decisions made today will shape the Malawi that we inherit tomorrow. As young people, we'll get to understand public debt better and how we can be a part of the solution. The future cannot be decided without us. Let's reimagine youth engagement together. Debt matters to me. See you there.
I'm attending the 2026 National Youth Symposium on Public Debt because I believe public debt is not only an economic issue but also a social issue that affects young people's lives, opportunities, and mental well-being. As a youth mental health advocate, I want to better understand how public debt influences the access to education, employment, healthcare, and other services that shapes the future of young people. During this symposium, I hope to engage with experts and fellow young leaders while also contributing to the perspective that economic policies should also consider the impact on youth mental health.
What's up, everyone? This is Godfrey Malongo Jr., and I'm excited to be joining my fellow young people for the first ever National Youth Symposium on Public Debt. Yes, public debt, which is happening from the 5th to the 16th of August in Lilongwe, and I'm joining as the events host. So you already know what I'm bringing to the table. And I think knowing that our country is currently going through a public debt crisis, I think it's more important now than ever that young people lead these conversations to ensure that we have more transparency and accountability on public debt. And if you're not able to join us physically, please join us online, as this event will be streamed on Timveni online platforms and together with other platforms that will be streaming this event on this day. See you there.
Do you want to know how your country's debt is affecting you? And do you want to know what to do about it? Come to the Youth Symposium, where we'll be covering all of that. See you soon.
I am attending the first ever National Youth Symposium because macroeconomic policies and public debt directly impact Malawi's development, inflation, and the future job market. As a youth, I believe it's vital to understand how financial decisions affect Malawi's trajectory. During the symposium, I look forward to gaining a deeper insight into understanding how sustainable debt management works and how we as a youth can advocate for transparent fiscal policies. I look at this as an opportunity whereby we can give a youth perspective on how public debt affects sectors, for example, agriculture and finance. I also look at this as an opportunity to network with young leaders of tomorrow. I hope to see you there. Tikakona Niboko.
Malawian youth, this is your moment. Did you know that Malawi's public debt affects your future, from employment opportunities and education to business growth and national development? Join the first ever National Youth Symposium on Debt Transparency and Management, taking place on the 5th and the 16th of August at Crossroads Hotel in Lilongwe, under the theme Reimagining Youth Power, Debt Transparency and Accountability. Engage with government leaders, economists, policymakers, civil society organizations, and fellow young people as you discuss practical solutions to Malawi's debt challenges and contribute to a more transparent and accountable future. This is your opportunity to raise your voice, share your ideas, influence the conversation, and be part of a meaningful change. Your voice matters. Your ideas matter. Your future matters. Join us on the 5th and 16th of August 2026 at Crossroads Hotel, Lilongwe, and be part of the National Youth Symposium on Debt Transparency and Management. Youth for Accountability, Debt Matters to Me.
so excited to be a part of the first ever National Youth Symposium on Public Debt. Why? This is because the debt decisions made today will shape the Malawi that we inherit tomorrow. As young people, we'll get to understand public debt better and how we can be a part of the solution. The future cannot be decided without us. Let's reimagine youth engagement together. Debt matters to me. See you there.
I'm attending the 2026 National Youth Symposium on Public Debt because I believe public debt is not only an economic issue but also a social issue that affects young people's lives, opportunities, and mental well-being. As a youth mental health advocate, I want to better understand how public debt influences the access to education, employment, healthcare, and other services that shapes the future of young people. During this symposium, I hope to engage with experts and fellow members while also contributing to the perspective that economic policies should also consider the impact on youth mental health.
What's up, everyone? This is Godfrey Malongo Jr., and I'm excited to be joining my fellow young people for the first ever National Youth Symposium on Public Debt. Yes, public debt, which is happening from the 5th to the 16th of August in Lilongwe, and I'm joining as the event's host. So you already know what I'm bringing to the table. And I think knowing that our country is currently going through a public debt crisis, I think it's more important now than ever that young people lead these conversations to ensure that we have more transparency and accountability on public debt. And if you're not able to join us physically, please join us online, as this event will be streamed on Timveni online platforms and together with other platforms that will be streaming this event on this day. See you there.
Do you want to know how your country's debt is affecting you? And do you want to know what to do about it? Come to the Youth Symposium where we'll be covering all of that. See you soon.
I am attending the first ever National Youth Symposium because macroeconomic policies and public debt directly impact Malawi's development, inflation, and the future job market. As a youth, I believe it's vital to understand how financial decisions affect Malawi's trajectory. During the symposium, I look forward to gaining a deeper insight into understanding how sustainable debt management works and how we as a youth can advocate for transparent fiscal policies. I look at this as an opportunity whereby we can give a youth perspective on how public debt affects sectors, for example, agriculture and finance. I also look at this as an opportunity to network with young leaders of tomorrow. I hope to see you there. Tikakona Niboko.
Malawian youth, this is your moment. Did you know that Malawi's public debt affects your future from employment opportunities and education to business growth and national development? Join the first ever National Youth Symposium on Debt Transparency and Management, taking place on the 5th and the 16th of August at Crossroads Hotel in Lilongwe, under the theme Reimagining Youth Power, Debt Transparency and Accountability. Engage with government leaders, economists, policymakers, civil society organizations, and fellow young people as you discuss practical solutions to Malawi's debt challenges and contribute to a more transparent and accountable future. This is your opportunity to raise your voice, share your ideas, influence the conversation, and be part of a meaningful change. Your voice matters. Your ideas matter. Your future matters. Join us on the 5th and 16th of August 2026 at Crossroads Hotel, Lilongwe, and be part of the National Youth Symposium on Debt Transparency and Management. Youth for Accountability, Debt Matters to Me.
I'm so excited to be a part of the first ever National Youth Symposium on Public Debt. Why? This is because the debt decisions made today will shape the Malawi that we inherit tomorrow. As young people, we'll get to understand public debt better and how we can be a part of the solution. The future cannot be decided without us. Let's reimagine youth engagement together. Debt matters to me. See you there.
I'm attending the 2026 National Youth Symposium on Public Debt because I believe public debt is not only an economic issue but also a social issue that affects young people's lives, opportunities, and mental well-being. As a youth mental health advocate, I want to better understand how public debt influences the access to education, employment, healthcare, and other services that shapes the future of young people. During this symposium, I hope to engage with experts and fellow young leaders while also contributing to the perspective that economic policies should also consider the impact on youth mental health.
What's up, everyone? This is Godfrey Malongo Jr., and I'm excited to be joining my fellow young people for the first ever National Youth Symposium on Public Debt. Yes, public debt, which is happening from the 5th to the 16th of August in Lilongwe, and I'm joining as the event's host. So you already know what I'm bringing to the table. And I think knowing that our country is currently going through a public debt crisis, I think it's more important now than ever that young people lead these conversations to ensure that we have more transparency and accountability on public debt. And if you're not able to join us physically, please join us online, as this event will be streamed on Timveni online platforms and together with other platforms that will be streaming this event on this day. See you there.
Do you want to know how your country's debt is affecting you? And do you want to know what to do about it? Come to the Youth Symposium where we'll be covering all of that. See you soon.
I am attending the first ever National Youth Symposium because macroeconomic policies and public debt directly impact Malawi's development, inflation, and the future job market. As a youth, I believe it's vital to understand how financial decisions affect Malawi's trajectory. During the symposium, I look forward to gaining a deeper insight into understanding how sustainable debt management works and how we as a youth can advocate for transparent fiscal policies. I look at this as an opportunity whereby we can give a youth perspective on how public debt affects sectors, for example, agriculture and finance. I also look at this as an opportunity to network with young leaders of tomorrow. I hope to see you there. Tikakona ndikoko.
Malawian youth, this is your moment. Did you know that Malawi's public debt affects your future from employment opportunities and education to business growth and national development? Join the first ever National Youth Symposium on Debt Transparency and Management, taking place on the 5th and the 16th of August at Crossroads Hotel in Lilongwe, under the theme Reimagining Youth Power, Debt Transparency and Accountability. Engage with government leaders, economists, policymakers, civil society organizations, and fellow young people as you discuss practical solutions to Malawi's debt challenges and contribute to a more transparent and accountable future. This is your opportunity to raise your voice, share your ideas, influence the conversation, and be part of a meaningful change. Your voice matters. Your ideas matter. Your future matters. Join us on the 5th and 16th of August 2026 at Crossroads Hotel, Lilongwe, and be part of the National Youth Symposium on Debt Transparency and Management. Youth for Accountability, Debt Matters to Me.
I'm so excited to be a part of the first ever National Youth Symposium on Public Debt. Why? This is because the debt decisions made today will shape the Malawi that we inherit tomorrow. As young people, we get to understand public debt better and how we can be a part of the solution. The future cannot be decided without us. Let's reimagine youth engagement together. Debt matters to me. See you there.
I'm attending the 2026 National Youth Symposium on Public Debt because I believe public debt is not only an economic issue but also a social issue that affects young people's lives, opportunities, and mental well-being. As a youth mental health advocate, I want to better understand how public debt influences the access to education, employment, healthcare, and other services that shapes the future of young people. During this symposium, I hope to engage with experts and fellow members while also contributing to the perspective that economic policies should also consider the impact on youth mental health.
What's up, everyone? This is Godfrey Malongo Jr., and I'm excited to be joining my fellow young people for the first ever National Youth Symposium on Public Debt. Yes, public debt, which is happening from the 5th to the 16th of August in Lilongwe, and I'm joining as the event's host. So you already know what I'm bringing to the table. And I think knowing that our country is currently going through a public debt crisis, I think it's more important now than ever that young people lead these conversations to ensure that we have more transparency and accountability on public debt. And if you're not able to join us physically, please join us online, as this event will be streamed on Timveni online platforms and together with other platforms that will be streaming this event on this day. See you there.
Do you want to know how your country's debt is affecting you? And do you want to know what to do about it? Come to the Youth Symposium where we'll be covering all of that. See you soon.
I am attending the first ever National Youth Symposium because macroeconomic policies and public debt directly impact Malawi's development, inflation, and the future job market. As a youth, I believe it's vital to understand how financial decisions affect Malawi's trajectory. During the symposium, I look forward to gaining a deeper insight into understanding how sustainable debt management works and how we as a youth can advocate for transparent fiscal policies. I look at this as an opportunity whereby we can give a youth perspective on how public debt affects sectors, for example, agriculture and finance. I also look at this as an opportunity to network with young leaders of tomorrow. I hope to see you there. Tikakona ndikoko.
Malawian youth, this is your moment. Did you know that Malawi's public debt affects your future from employment opportunities and education to business growth and national development? Join the first ever National Youth Symposium on Debt Transparency and Management, taking place on the 5th and the 16th of August at Crossroads Hotel in Lilongwe, under the theme Reimagining Youth Power, Debt Transparency and Accountability. Engage with government leaders, economists, policymakers, civil society organizations, and fellow young people as you discuss practical solutions to Malawi's debt challenges and contribute to a more transparent and accountable future. This is your opportunity to raise your voice, share your ideas, influence the conversation, and be part of a meaningful change. Your voice matters. Your ideas matter. Your future matters. Join us on the 5th and 16th of August 2026 at Crossroads Hotel, Lilongwe, and be part of the National Youth Symposium on Debt Transparency and Management. Youth for Accountability, Debt Matters to Me.
I'm so excited to be a part of the first ever National Youth Symposium on Public Debt. Why? This is because the debt decisions made today will shape the Malawi that we inherit tomorrow. As young people, we'll get to understand public debt better and how we can be a part of the solution. The future cannot be decided without us. Let's reimagine youth engagement together. Debt matters to me. See you there.
I'm attending the 2026 National Youth Symposium on Public Debt because I believe public debt is not only an economic issue but also a social issue that affects young people's lives, opportunities, and mental well-being. As a youth mental health advocate, I want to better understand how public debt influences access to education, employment, healthcare, and other services that shapes the future of young people. During this symposium, I hope to engage with experts and fellow members while also contributing to the perspective that economic policies should also consider the impact on youth mental health.
What's up, everyone? This is Godfrey Malongo Jr., and I'm excited to be joining my fellow young people for the first ever National Youth Symposium on Public Debt. Yes, public debt, which is happening from the 5th to the 16th of August in Lilongwe, and I'm joining as the event's host. So you already know what I'm bringing to the table. And I think knowing that our country is currently going through a public debt crisis, I think it's more important now than ever that young people lead these conversations to ensure that we have more transparency and accountability on public debt. And if you're not able to join us physically, please join us online, as this event will be streamed on Timveni online platforms and together with other platforms that will be streaming this event on this day. See you there.
Do you want to know how your country's debt is affecting you? And do you want to know what to do about it? Come to the Youth Symposium where we'll be covering all of that. See you soon.
I am attending the first ever National Youth Symposium because macroeconomic policies and public debt directly impact Malawi's development, inflation, and the future job market. As a youth, I believe it's vital to understand how financial decisions affect Malawi's trajectory. During the symposium, I look forward to gaining a deeper insight into understanding how sustainable debt management works and how we as a youth can advocate for transparent fiscal policies. I look at this as an opportunity whereby we can give a youth perspective on how public debt affects sectors, for example, agriculture and finance. I also look at this as an opportunity to network with young leaders of tomorrow. I hope to see you there. Tikakona Liboko.
Yeah. So at this point, we are going to go ahead with our panel, the first panel of the day. This one is going to be on debt, development, and intergenerational responsibility. And this panel is going to be moderated by Cedric George. So at this point, I'd like to invite Cedric George, who's going to introduce each of his panelists to the front. So as Cedric George is coming, Timpase Mona, let's give him a hand as he's coming to the front.
Good morning, everyone. You are not answering with power. Can you answer with power, please? Anyway, welcome to our first panel discussion that will feature the representative from the Ministry of Finance and, of course, Reserve Bank of Malawi, National Debt Coalition, and, of course, one of the youth representatives. So I'm just urging you to pay more attention to this panel discussion, because at the end of it all, it is going to attract you the questions that are going to ask you for some of the understandings. Well, so at this point, allow me to invite one of my panelists from the Ministry of Finance, Tiamike Kantambi. And the second to the panel is La Beca from the Reserve Bank of Malawi. Another guest is from National Debt Coalition. This is none other than Mavuto Bamus. Finally, it's Vincent as the youth representative. So, as I have already said, this is the first panel discussion whereby I'm going to feature these 4 people here in front with me. So, my panelists, please be advised that whatever we are discussing now, we are going live on air. We are live on Timveni Radio, Timveni Television, and of course, Timveni Online. So, another thing that is also the important matter is time. we are going against time. We are giving our panel discussion 30 minutes to take some of the questions that I have here. And of course, we're going to open floor for some of the questions from the okay. Aba mukundimva? Okay, so as I was saying that this panel discussion, I've got a few individuals here in front with me. So I am advising you, my panelists, that whatever we're discussing now, it is going live on air. We are live on Timveni Radio, Timveni TV, and of course the Timveni online. So on another thing that we have to take it on the important note is time. We are giving our panel discussion for 30 minutes, and we're going to open floor for questions for 20 minutes that will contribute to the 15 minutes rather 50 for this panel discussion. So once again, welcome all to this panel discussion. In the first place, allow me to start our panel discussion from the Ministry of Finance. We just wanted you to understand that what are some of the main factors behind the contributing to the public debt from approximately 40 trillion in the 2020 over to 24 trillion as we are talking today.
Thank you, moderator. Just a question.
Yeah. Now you know you can mix.
Thank you. Firstly, let me appreciate the organizers and thanks for the invitation that Minister of Finance can be part of this important dialogue. So we are now all conversant with our figures. We've moved from 4 trillion to 24 trillion as of December 2025. And I want to unpack some of the contributing factors to this growth. I know that yesterday you had a session with my colleague whereby he provided a very good, insightful presentation on these debt matters. But I think today I also somehow add more to what he presented yesterday. So basically, there are a number of factors that contribute to debt. In our case, starting from 2020, Malawi as an economy was affected by some shocks. Tose mwina tukumbukira kuti chaka cha 2020 paka na 2021 kunali COVID. What COVID did, inapangitsa kuti government idzipanga spend ndalama zambiriko mwezi. In addition to that, so climate mukudziwa inuyo kuti dziko lathu lino lakhala lupangidwa affect ndi ma cyclone ambirimbiri. Kunali cyclone Gombe, cyclone Ana, kunali cyclone Ana, kunali Freddy. Zinthu zimene zizi zikatigwera boma limayenera kuti lilowepo lithandize anthu amene avutika. So zinthu zizi contributed to the expenditures. Komanso, in addition to this, kunali issue ya devaluation. Ngati mukuzitsatira bwinobwino, 2022 there was a 22% devaluation. In 2023, there was 44% devaluation. Devaluation imeneyi inapanga affect debt yathu, more especially external debt. External debt timakongola mu ndalama zakunja. Koma tikamapanga report timakhala tupanga report in Malawi kwacha. Kusonyeza kuti mu 2021 tinali ndi exchange rate ina, itabwera devaluation, exchange rate ija inatani inakwera, ndeti kamachita convert $1 million at say 1000 kwacha, kwabwera devaluation yafika pa 1.2 ndekuti tikutenga 1 million uja times 1.2. Similarly with the 44%, 1 million ija ngati inali pa 1000 rate panono ndekuti yafika no say 1400, ndekuti debt yathu ija yakweranso. So to answer the question, a number of factors contributed to this growth of debt, and mainly from our analysis it shows that